So in today's video, I decided my hubby was away for the weekend, and I got to thoroughly spend all the time I wanted doing my arts and crafts. So I've gotten back into my weaving. I'm continuing to practice with my circular knitting machine. I've decided that I would like to do like a full pair of socks, okay? And I'm hoping that I might be able to not only do a full pair of socks, but maybe use Lycra in the socks to see what that will do. Now, I've been told about making a gauge swatch, to find out, whatever yarn you're going to use based on the tension you have here. It's going to obviously determine the amount of stitches. If you know anything about knitting, you know that depending on your tension, you're going to have a certain number of stitches going across, a certain number of stitches going up and down. And you want to match whatever the yarn actually says to get the result that the yarn is telling you you will get. I tend to, when I knit, like with actual knitting needles, I tend to have very tight tension. I have to be very conscious about keeping a looser tension, otherwise I get much smaller products than what I had anticipated. Now, I'm lucky because in a sense here, this tension is actually decided by basically a, let's see, where is it here? By an actual needle here, okay? And it's got some, various ticks of gradation, basically. So what I decided to do yesterday is that I was thinking of doing actual physical swatches and just keeping them, but I really don't know at this point what yarns I want to use and which ones I like and which ones I don't like. So I think right now, because I got my yarn mast topper here that's slotted basically, I don't have to cut the yarn, use a portion of the yarn to make a swatch, and then I lose that when I'm making a pair of socks. So what I ended up doing is I ended up taking basically, so I've got, the colors are kind of like a beigey kind of color. The Lycra that I bought is basically, I've got a cream and I've got like a taupey one, so I could use either one for this. But basically, I put on my, my sock yarn here, and then I started to weave, right? So when I started to weave up here, I had tension fairly in the middle, and then down here I got a little bit tighter. And what I decided to do is that because when you get to the heel, you need to employ the heel spring. And what I've had a problem with in the past is that, my tension is great going down, because of course what you see going around, right, that tension is being pulled, and it's like, oh my goodness, these stitches are so huge. I don't want that for socks. So you tighten the tension until you like what you see, without realizing that, you've got weight pulling that down, and obviously you're going to take that weight off at some point. And so obviously it'll bounce back up. But also if you let this rest for, several hours, I let it rest overnight, it's going to shrink, kind of, pull in even further. So you don't want to have like overly tight. And the problem is that what I did is that sometimes it would be perfect. The tension was here, it looked nice and, tight, but then I would engage the heel spring. And then with these needles, all of a sudden when I was going around, all of a sudden the tension was so tight that the stitches would, start rising up, sometimes go right over the needle, okay, and I would drop stitches that way. So I would rather know in advance, okay, I like this tension, what it is, I've put the heel spring, is it going to cause me issues with drop stitches? No, okay. So I tried two different types here, and my husband lent me his trusty calipers. I never thought that in arts I'd be using calipers, but my husband has a digital caliper. So what I ended up doing is that I marked my, if you recall in previous videos, I marked my cylinder with 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I've got my heel demarcations here basically. And so what I did is I would always make sure that I use the calipers and I'm marking at this area here, the 3 o'clock mark all the time, because you want to be consistent, because of course if you look inside in your cam, it's getting deeper and deeper and deeper. So if you use the calipers for different areas, that's going to be a problem. So the first one measurement that I had done here basically was at, if I take a quick look here, it was at, let me pull this over, because my memory is not so good. Okay, so what I did is, I brought it, and when I measured the cam here, so basically, if you don't know how to use calipers, because goodness knows I did not, I ended up turning it on. You want to zero it out, of course. Okay, let me zero it out. No, maybe not, hold on. There we go. Okay, So I've got my 0 basically. My husband basically tells me, okay, bring it down like this. Okay, so you're gonna have, in our case, we have a little kind of, can you see? Yes, you can. Okay, you've got a little, I don't know what you would call that, bar coming out of the bottom there. And so basically he just says, you know, put it where it is that you want, and then you go down. Okay. And so basically I did that 2 or 3 times to make sure. Like, I don't necessarily need to be precise. This goes in millimeters, and it goes 2 decimal points in millimeters. So, I mean, I really do not necessarily, let me turn this off. There we go. I do not necessarily need it to be that accurate, okay? I just need, you know, an approximation, basically, okay? At this point, I'm not planning on selling these socks or anything like that. I'm just making them for myself. So I did this. So I did this. Okay, gave me this area here. Then I engaged the heel spring next, okay? And then basically what I did is that a friend of mine, basically, who's in circular knitting, I said, well, how do I, you know, instead of putting in like a demarcation of a different color to know that, okay, I'm changing things, you know, which was a pain for me because every time I did that, for whatever reason, I was dropping stitches and it was starting to drive me mad. So she said what she does, basically, is that she does like a picot edge, but just on the first 3 stitches, okay? So what happens is that she'll take, so for example, I always start at 3 o'clock. So she'll take the first one and take that loop, put it on the 2nd needle, and then take the loop from the 3rd needle, put it on the 4th needle, and then take the loop from the 5th needle, put it on the 6th needle. So the first, basically the first, I guess in a sense 3 loops is going on to the next needle, okay? And it will make a little hole. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but it did make a little hole. So I know where, let's see here, can you see? You know where the demarcation basically is, where I changed tensions. The second tension that I did basically is that I marked, it's not very attractive, but I had brought initially the, so if we bring this back around here, let's bring it back around, okay? So what I did initially, when I thought I was going to do gauge swatches from all the way, you know, to the bottom, is that I brought my marker all the way to the very bottom, okay? And then I lined this up with my 3 o'clock so that I knew exactly like where it would be. And so that it would, so what would line up, okay? I don't know if you can see that. So basically I put some nail polish, because my marks are yellow, I put yellow nail polish basically from like a 3 o'clock to a 9 o'clock position on my dial. Okay, now everybody's dial is different. Some dials from various companies actually have numbers, which would be really nice. Mine is, I've got a guess. And so basically what I did is I decided to twist it 1 full turn tighter than what I had already. And I did the same thing. I did a bunch of rows again. And so that tighter one was 24.19 millimeters, okay? And then basically I engaged the heel spring and did some more. So I want to see what the tightness is basically for that. And I'm going to try doing an actual sock, you know, like, well, 2 socks, okay, from the actual yarn. And the way I did it basically is that instead of having to cut it like I had to in the old days, is that I was able to remove it from the slots. And then basically, obviously, I undid it. I didn't have to do any waste yarn. I undid it basically. And so when I'm done looking at this, I can literally just unravel it and put it back onto my cone and then get started for real. Okay. So let's take a look and see how we would measure, and hopefully I can do it correctly. Measure for the gauge so that I can actually predict what I want in terms of my length of my foot and the, you know, the length of the sock, so that you're not guessing and finding out, oh, it's too short and it's too long, it's not comfortable here and so forth, because people have different size of feet. So you want to kind of know what it's going to be after it, you know, you've taken it off the loom, not the loom, sorry, that's my weaving coming to me, off the circular knitting machine, that it's going to, you know, kind of pull into itself. How much will it pull in, and will it fit comfortably? Okay. All right, so let me rearrange the camera and we will take a look. Okay, so unfortunately, I know you're looking at this upside down. I didn't know quite how to put the camera low enough for you to see and not have it bang into me as I'm trying to do stuff. So basically, this part here is where I started, where it was 25.11 or 19, I can't remember what it was now, in terms of that, the stitches. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is that, and this is, of course, not an inch ruler. Oh, that doesn't help me. Okay, so you want to look at, in terms of, well, again, it depends on whether you're metric or not. I tend to use inches. In Canada, we switched over to metric a very long time ago, but some of us just did not switch over very well. So if you're American, then you're going to love this. So let me find a ruler that actually goes with inches here. Okay, so I did find a ruler that is inches. Unfortunately, of course, it had to be a see-through ruler, so it's going to be hard for you guys to see the numbers. I will let you know what it is that I'm seeing. So I'm going to look in this one here. I want to know in terms of inches going across this way, but also going across that way, okay? So in terms of width and length. So it doesn't matter as long as I'm in the right area here. So I'm going to line it up, okay, basically. All right, so I'll line it up right here. So 1 inch is from basically from this point right here, okay, to this point right here. So let me count, and I lined it up obviously at the edge of a stitch, okay. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches across, okay, in 1 inch. I'm just going to write this down because you know I will never remember that, okay. So I want to do the exact same thing going up and down, okay. So I'm going to line it up so the beginning of the inch starts at the top of a stitch, and make sure, of course, when you're going down, so basically an inch is from here to here. When I'm going down, you want to make sure you're going down the same row of stitches, otherwise obviously it's not going to work, okay? So I'm going to, hold on, line it up at the top here. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I would say 8.5, okay, stitches. Okay, going up and down. So now let's go down to this lower part here where it was basically the 24.19 millimeters. Okay, no, hold on, sorry, no, I didn't do that. So I did that part at the top here. Now let's do the same part but with the heel spring. Okay, because it gets, the heel is a little bit tighter. So let me line it up again at the edge of one of these guys. Okay, so again my inch is from here to here. So let me count. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5 with the heel spring. Okay. And then I've got going up and down. All right. So again, I'm going to line her up. There we go. So we'll line her up from here to here. Okay. So I've got it at the top of one of the stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, looks like 11 stitches, okay? All right. Okay, so now let's do the same thing where I pulled it even tighter, okay? So let's do that here. Let's go across. Again, I'm going to line it up on the same row. And it does help to maybe use the same color because this is variegated, and of course it's making it hard for me to follow, to see all the stitches. So again, 1 inch will be from here to here. So let me line it up at the end there. There we go. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7. Okay. So approximately the same width as it was before. There's not a huge difference, okay, with that 1 millimeter difference. And then let me check here. Okay, there we go. Line it up. So I've got an inch from here to here. So I've got basically let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so I got 12 stitches. Okay, and then lower down, basically I've got the, oh, actually, no, sorry. I forgot to take off the heel spring. So this first section actually had the heel spring. I forgot about that. And then I removed it and it got bigger here. So hold on a sec here. Let me just make sure. And I've got that information there. Okay, and then basically here, down here was the 24.19 without the heel spring. So let me line that up. Okay, so hold on a sec here. I should have made it longer. I thought this would be long enough. It certainly looked long enough yesterday when it was being pulled down, but I guess it definitely shrank quite a bit. So let me line it up like this. Okay. All right, so let's look at, okay, so let's start here. So again, 1 inch will be from here to here. So let's take a look. 1, 2, holy cow. Get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I've got 11 stitches going down. Okay, and then going across, I'm going to use, there we go. Okay, so then going across, I'm going to start, so I'll get my 1 inches from here to here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches. So it looks like between that the 1 inch there, sorry, the 1 millimeter difference in terms of the tightening, it doesn't look like it does a huge difference widthwise because it looks like it's about 7 stitches all the way across, all the way down here. Obviously the length of the stitch obviously has changed. So instead of having, for example, let me see here. So without the heel spring up here, you had 8.5 stitches. Okay, and then without the heel spring here, you had 11 stitches. So again, a little bit different in terms of that. So again, I don't know that there's some sort of mathematical way of figuring it out, so you don't have to do this every time. But for now, I'm going to use that, and you know, I think I might go with the tighter because you know my husband, like, well, I have smaller feet, and I might go with the tighter one and try it with the Lycra and see what that does, because the Lycra will also kind of pull it in and give it a little bit of stretch. I'm using right now a 54 cylinder, so I don't know what the 54 cylinder will do when I'm doing socks. It may make the sock, I don't know if it'll make the sock tighter or it'll make the sock looser. To me, you've got less needles, it should make the sock looser, but again, it's quite possible that the 72 cylinder that I have would be better suited for that, but we'll figure it out. All right, well, I hope that helps, and have yourself a great day.